Change is constant. The universe is in constant motion. Thought, matter, and experiences are ever changing. There's a saying about the goddess, she changes everything she touches, and everything she touches changes. Behind all of this flux lies an eternal, stable, unchanging essence, which is the source of the divine. The eternal essence is the foundation of all of our magical and spiritual energies. We are extensions of this unchangeable force. And so the manifestations of this unchangeable force appear to be always in a state of flux and change. But we understand that underneath that illusion, there is the unchanging stability of the oneness that is the creative force. Fear of change is normal. As adepts, we must learn to rise above the fear of change and replace it with the trust in the creative power of thought. Magic is the intentional use of our thought to influence reality. We embrace change. If things couldn't change in the manifest world, we couldn't have any influence over them. So we learn how to surf the change, ride the change, be the change. The more we understand that underneath all change is stability and that all change is illusory, we use that concept of change to our benefit. We learn how to cultivate an inner calm and stability to become at one with that underlying force. We become the eye in the storm amidst the change that appears to be happening all around us. We use our rituals, our spells, meditations to align with and direct this flow of change. Now, like I said, the infinite is eternal. The infinite is unchanging. The infinite is trustworthy, and it expresses itself through infinite forms. When we trust this infinite essence, that trust fosters a sense of security and connection, regardless of what is going on around us. No matter what people are saying or doing, it doesn't matter what's going on in the news. None of it phases us because we understand that it's not happening the way we think it's happening. Underneath everything is a constant state of unity and purpose. If you can recognize that your power flows from the internal to the external, then you understand that at your core, you are connected with this unchanging power. Therefore, at your core, you are unchanging. You are stable. And it's only in the realms of the world of effect that we see instability. And as long as you identify with that which is unchanging, you have charge over your life. When you identify mentally with the effects of the world, then you believe you are subject to change. You believe that you are unstable. You have no center. And this is the danger when we believe what our senses report to us over the internal truth of that unchanging unity, that source. When we understand that what our senses report to us is not the whole picture, then we can use the information that our senses reports to us in a different way. But when we believe that everything is the way we see it, the way that we feel it, the way we smell it, the way we taste it, that is reality, we're stuck because that reality of our senses is in constant flux and there's no way to feel stable. If you were to look at a long road in the country and you see a car driving down that road, you see it becoming smaller and smaller and smaller until it disappears. Now, we understand that that's an optical illusion. We know those people didn't disappear. We know that they didn't get smaller. What our eyes reported to us was inaccurate. Apply that to everything in the manifest world and recognize that this world of change and chaos is illusory. The good news about the fact that things change is that we can be at the center of that change. We can be in charge of change. The universe exhibits an infinite variety yet all things are connected by a universal creative pattern. There is unity in diversity in all life. No two things are alike. No two thumbprints are alike. No two snowflakes are alike. No two leaves are alike. The uniqueness of the expression of each form does not deny the eternal source, the hub that unifies all of us and that unifies all life. If you're to look at subatomic particles, things start to look a lot more identical than the forms that they are expressing. The craft honors the unity and diversity by respecting the interconnectedness of life. That's one of the main tenets of the craft. And if you recognize the divine being in all objects, in all beings, in all plants, rocks, you understand that there is a unified whole, and that even though there is the illusion of change going on, that nothing changes. Nothing changes in regards to its divine essence. The only thing that changes is its expression, its external manifestation. That allows us to have a sense of relief because we're so afraid of things changing, when at the same time, everything is constantly changing in the manifest world. It'll never stop. It needs to. Things need to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. In the manifest world, things are mortal. Things need to change constantly. There's always that linear progress, beginning, middle, end. There's cycles of beginning, middle, and end. Yet those cycles are constantly moving, constantly changing. That's the nature of the manifest world. And we learn to celebrate it, understanding that underneath all of that, nothing changes. Everything is eternal. For whatever reason, there is something that happened with humanity, and nobody understands it. People have all kinds of theories about it, but nobody really understands it. But humanity at some point got the power to choose, got the power to be self-aware, to remove itself from its instinctual self. And the more that we can remove ourselves from our instinctual animal self and learn how to work with our power of choice, the more adept we become. Now, of course, we need fight or flight in an emergency. The instinct has to take over in an emergency. But we have that fight or flight going on over the smallest little things, and we forget that we have the power to choose. We just forget that we have the power to choose. We forget that we have the power to have creative thought, the power to influence our choices and our decisions, and thus our environment. We listen to a news broadcast, we get fight or flight. Somebody cuts us off on the freeway, fight or flight. Somebody yells at us, fight or flight. Something doesn't go our way, fight or flight. As adepts, when the fight or flight comes up, we have to ask ourselves, is this how I want to respond to this situation? We understand that it's a choice to go along with the fight or flight instinct or not. Not choosing is a type of choice. We've been gifted with this ability to choose. Just because we don't use the ability is still a choice. We've chosen not to use the ability. When we are confronted with anything in our day-to-day lives, we have the ability to act as adepts, to act as magical adepts and calm ourselves, relax, and find a center and not be moved by it, not be upset by it. And when we are not moved by something, when we remove ourselves from fight or flight, reactivity, and we stop being reactionary, we are plugging into our power to choose, to make a new reality, to ride change in the direction that we want to ride it. We become surfers of change, the waves of change. But if we're constantly reacting to the waves of change, we're constantly getting bucked by those waves. We're constantly going under. We're constantly being beaten up because of how we respond to change in the first place. Anything that's changing in our universe, we automatically think it's bad. We automatically think it's something horrible. Change is an external product. It has nothing to do with who we are at our core. That is unchangeable and eternal and not subject to change. Not subject to fight or flight, not subject to being reactionary. And the part of us that's not subject to being reactionary is the part that has creative power to steer the change. Now, you can see this on a practical level. Just the other day, somebody overcharged me something. I got super angry. I was so reactionary. I was so defensive. I was so upset that I wasn't listening to what they were saying. I needed to be right, to be right, to be right. And so I calmed down, stopped reacting, and I decided what I wanted instead of this. And I realized that what they had been trying to tell me all along is that we want to give you this because of our mistake. And because I was so reactionary, I wasn't hearing any of that. I wasn't hearing any of the good news. Once I was able to calm down and return to the science of the Magus, finding a calm center in any kind of situation that seems chaotic so that I can ride the wave. As soon as I did that, I realized I didn't even have to ride the wave. The wave was already there. It's just that I was still reacting to something. So I wasn't able to see the truth of what was going on. And that kind of stuff happens to me. I don't berate myself for it. You're only human, but you want to be an adept. Yes, I'm human. Yes, I'm just like everybody else, and I want to be better. Two things can be true at the same time. Yes, I have flaws. Yes, I'm just like everybody else. I'm imperfect, and I want to be better. I want to be better because then I'm more successful, because I'm happier, because then I get the things that I want in my life. Things work out for me better. So this is the power of non-resistance and the power of finding that flow from the inner to the outer. Rather than reacting to the outer, we learn to connect with that internal, unchanging core that is our creator, which is what Jesus meant when he said the kingdom of heaven is within you. Then we can connect to where that flow is, change things in a jiffy to the way we want them to be, embracing our non-resistance to align with that creative flow. And that's how we free ourselves. And the craft teaches that when we surrender to these cosmic forces, we allow them to guide our magical path, rather than letting the ego try to guide our magical path, which is always a toboggan ride to nowhere. We suspend that ego reaction and we allow ourselves to surrender to that higher power that is within us. And then we have stability within the change. Like an atom's nucleus is stable, we find our nucleus that is stable. And no matter how much is rotating around our nucleus and how violent it seems to be, we are at one with that nucleus. We learn to embrace change and trust the infinite within us, trust that unchangeable part of ourselves so that we can surf our way to where we want to be. Not wanting things to change is like not wanting water to be wet or not wanting trees to be wood. Everything outside is change. It's always going to change. It never stops changing. Change, 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 change. But you don't change. You can change as a personality. Of course you do. But who you are as a soul, it's unchangeable. That's a stable core of you. And when you align with this stable internal core, you can use your magic to shape the life that you want it to be. That's magic, is to shape, to bend, to mold things to your will. The will with a capital W is that unchangeable core within us, not the little w will of the ego that's constantly reacting to everything, but that true will within us, which is always stable and always non-reactive and at peace. We must learn to step into our power and align with the eternal within us. We don't wait until we're in a crisis. We just step into that power every single morning. If we're practicing, eventually we remember, like me with the company. Eventually you do remember. And when you come back and you remember, the grace of all of this is it's as if there was no problem to begin with. There's a vertical ascent that happens. So all that time that I spent wasting being reactive, once I found my center again, I didn't have to, quote, pay the price for that. I was immediately delivered into the solution. And that divine grace is a normal part of the stable inner core of your true will. You're always in a state of grace. It's your natural state. The idea that we're upset that things change is the core of why we don't have happiness in this world. We're expecting the world to be something that it's not, and to act in a way that it's not capable of acting. we've been taught to put all of our investment in that and not put all of our investment in where the truth lies. And that's what Jesus meant, building your house on rock versus building your house on sand. If you build your house on that eternal soul that is within you, the winds can blow and your house will not get blown over. But if you build your house on the world of change outside of you, it's going to get blown over in a second. There's no safety out there. Your safety is not something that you can find in the external world. Your safety is something you were born with. Your safety is something that lives in you, in your soul. And you have to find that safety and that eternal oneness every single day on that mental plane first. And then you can start to have that reflect itself in various ways within the world of change. Remember, all you're doing in the world of change is surfing. You're not asking that the waves stop coming. You're just learning how to ride them. And the only way you can learn how to ride those waves is by relaxing and becoming at one with the eternal, unchangeable core that you are. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I so appreciate you. Until next time, blessed be.